Have you ever set a goal, something you really wanted, and felt excited to start, only to find yourself stuck when it was time to take action? Maybe it was waking up early, eating healthier, studying, or building something meaningful. You knew exactly what you needed to do. You even wanted to do it. But when the moment came, when the alarm went off, or the distraction appeared, something inside you gave up, and then the self-blame started. You might have thought, maybe I'm just lazy, maybe I don't have enough willpower. But what if the real reason has nothing to do with laziness at all? What if your struggle comes from something deeper, like emotional patterns you've carried for years, needs you've never known how to meet, or parts of your story that still hurt quietly in the background? What if your brain isn't broken, but simply trying to protect you in ways you don't fully understand yet? Discipline isn't just about pushing yourself harder. It's not a loud voice yelling, "Do it." It's more like a quiet relationship with your inner self, a partnership between your goals and your emotional truth. And when that relationship is broken or misunderstood, discipline starts to feel like an impossible fight. When people talk about self-discipline, they often describe it like it's a hard, cold force, something that requires you to grind your teeth, push through pain, and keep going no matter what. We're told to just do it, to hustle harder, to toughen up. But for most of us, that approach doesn't work. And it's not because there's something wrong with us. It's because discipline doesn't actually start in the moment you take action. It starts much earlier, deep inside your body and your brain. It starts with feeling safe. You see, the part of your brain that helps you plan and make smart decisions, the prefrontal cortex, can only do its job when it's not being interrupted by your emotional brain, called the limbic system. This older part of the brain is always checking in with one question: am I safe? Safe to try, safe to fail, safe to be seen. And when the answer feels like no, even in small ways, your whole system pulls back. You might feel frozen, distracted, tired, or anxious. That's not laziness. It's your nervous system trying to protect you from pain, embarrassment, or past experiences that still echo inside you. So when discipline feels hard, it's not a sign that you're weak. It's often a sign that some part of you doesn't feel safe enough to move forward yet. Let me ask you something honest. When you try to be more disciplined, when you set goals or push yourself to improve, are you doing it because you care about yourself or because you're upset with yourself? Many of us try to change from a place of frustration. We talk to ourselves with harsh, angry voices. We call ourselves lazy, weak, or a failure if we mess up. It's like having a strict coach in your head, constantly shouting at you to do better. But here's the problem. That voice doesn't make you stronger. It makes you scared. Your brain picks up on that pressure and reacts as if you're in danger. Instead of helping you focus and grow, it puts you in a stressed, defensive state, and in that state, it's much harder to stay motivated or make clear choices. That's why discipline rooted in self-hate never lasts. You can't force yourself to grow through guilt. You can't bully yourself into becoming your best self. Real, lasting discipline doesn't come from punishment. It comes from healing. It starts when you treat yourself with kindness, when you understand your struggles instead of judging them, and when you move forward because you care, not because you're afraid. To understand this better, let's explore a symbolic reflection from astrology. In astrology, the planet Mars is a symbol of energy, motivation, and action. It represents the fire inside us, the part that pushes us to go after what we want, to stand up for ourselves, and to keep moving forward. But sometimes, That fire doesn't burn the way we expect it to. When Mars is in a more emotional or sensitive sign, like Cancer or Pisces, it doesn't just act boldly. Instead, it has to move through layers of deep feelings. It's like trying to light a fire underwater. That same drive can become confused, hidden, or overwhelmed by emotion. Instead of taking action, you might feel stuck, tired, or unsure. You might start something and then lose your energy halfway through, not because you don't care, but because your feelings haven't been fully understood yet. And this doesn't only happen in astrology, it happens to all of us. Before we can take clear action, we have to understand what we're feeling. We have to check in with our emotional world. When we ignore that step, our motivation can get buried under the weight of emotions we don't yet know how to handle. Real discipline comes when we honor both parts, the fire to act and the water of emotion it often flows through.
This leads us to a profound insight from the psychologist Carl Jung, who once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." What he meant is that many of the things that control our behavior, our fears, our doubts, even our habits, come from deep inside us, in places we don't usually notice or understand. And because we're not aware of them, they end up quietly guiding our actions without us realizing it. That's why many people who struggle with discipline aren't actually lazy or unmotivated. They're just unaware. We carry old beliefs we picked up as children, from parents, teachers, or early experiences. Maybe someone made you feel like failing meant you weren't good enough, or that resting made you weak, or that doing well would make others jealous or uncomfortable. These beliefs become like invisible rules we live by, rules we never agreed to, but still follow. And every time we try to be disciplined, it can feel like we're breaking those old, hidden rules. That's when it gets hard, because the fight isn't really between you and your goals, it's between you and a younger version of yourself that still wants to feel safe, loved and accepted. That part of you doesn't need more pressure. It needs your kindness, your attention, and your understanding. Many of us carry these patterns deeply. For example, people who have a Capricorn moon in astrology often grow up feeling like they have to earn love through hard work and success. From a young age, they may learn to hide their emotions and take on responsibility too soon, believing that being strong and capable is the only way to feel safe or valued. So they become very disciplined, very driven, but not always in a healthy way. They push themselves hard, not because they feel free, but because deep down they're afraid. Afraid of failing, afraid of being seen as weak, afraid that if they stop for even a moment, they'll lose the love or respect they work so hard to gain. And when they finally crash, when their body and mind can't keep up anymore, they don't show themselves compassion. Instead, they blame themselves. They call it laziness or weakness. But in truth, what they're feeling isn't laziness at all. It's grief. Grief for the emotional support they never received. Grief for always feeling like they had to be perfect to be loved. And the truth is, many of us carry this kind of story in some way. We've learned to chase goals out of fear, not joy, out of pressure, not purpose. That's why true discipline can't just be about forcing yourself to do more. It has to come from healing, from becoming whole, from realizing that you don't have to prove your worth. You already have it. Now, try to imagine discipline not as something harsh or forceful, not like a whip pushing you forward, but more like a rhythm, like a steady beat that you move with, not against. It's like a drummer who's in sync with a deeper purpose, not rushing, not dragging, but flowing with intention. In ancient symbolism, the planet Saturn represented time, patience, and mastery. Many people think of it as a planet of limits, but Saturn's deeper lesson isn't about punishment, it's about alignment. It teaches us how to build things that last,
by staying grounded and consistent. Real discipline works the same way. It's not about forcing yourself to meet unrealistic standards. It's about creating a peaceful connection between who you are and what you truly care about. When your values, what matters most to you, line up with your actions, things feel lighter and clearer. You're no longer trying to prove to the world that you're enough. You're simply expressing the truth of who you already are. That's the kind of discipline that doesn't burn you out. It lifts you up. The next time you feel like you've failed to be disciplined, whether you skipped the workout, missed a deadline, or gave in to distraction, pause for a moment. Instead of beating yourself up, gently ask, what part of me is hurting right now? What part of me needs care, not control? Maybe it's the part of you that grew up trying to please everyone, always putting others first and forgetting your own needs. Maybe it's the part that was taught that making mistakes meant you weren't good enough. So now every slip feels like shame. Or maybe it's the part that fears change because your past was full of chaos and routine was never something you could trust. Whatever it is, that part of you doesn't need more pressure or guilt. It needs kindness. It needs compassion. And when you respond to yourself with understanding instead of judgment, something powerful happens. You stop fighting against yourself. You begin to feel more whole, more steady. Your energy returns, your focus becomes clearer, and your actions start to align naturally with your intentions, not because you forced it, but because you finally feel safe enough to grow.
Discipline, when you really understand it, isn't about forcing yourself to hide your feelings or ignore your struggles. It's not about trying to shut down the parts of you that feel scared, tired, or unsure. Instead, true discipline is about bringing all those parts together. It's about integration, gathering the pieces of you that got lost along the way, the parts you may have pushed aside or judged, and gently welcoming them back. It's not about fixing yourself like you're broken. It's about reuniting with the full human version of who you are. It's like the story of a hero who doesn't come back from their journey with scars and anger, but with wisdom, understanding, and peace. Like Odysseus in the old myth, who didn't just travel for the sake of adventure. He wandered for years because his journey was really about remembering who he truly was beneath all the battles and storms. And that's what many of us are doing too. We're not weak for struggling, we're simply in the middle of finding our way back to ourselves. You don't need to be harder on yourself, you need to come home to who you are. That's where real strength lives. The real reason you struggle with discipline isn't because you're weak or lazy. It's because you've been trying to control things before you took the time to really understand what's going on inside you. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do more or pushing harder like a battle to win. Instead, it's about devotion, a gentle, caring commitment to your own healing, to what truly matters to you, and to the person you are becoming deep inside. So when you stumble or fall short, don't ask yourself, why am I like this? Instead, try asking, what is this moment trying to show me about what I really need, what feels true to me, and what my heart is asking for? When you begin to listen with kindness and patience, not judgment and pressure, and when you choose to act out of love instead of fear, you will find a kind of discipline that doesn't drain your energy or spirit. Instead, it frees you. It helps you grow in a way that feels natural and alive, a discipline that lifts you up rather than wears you down. If what you've heard here feels true deep inside, like a quiet breath of relief or a gentle nod from your heart, then you're not alone on this path. This journey is not just about learning facts or ideas, it's about coming back to yourself, to your full, whole being.
So I invite you to keep walking this road with us. Subscribe and join the community, not just to explore the science or the philosophy behind discipline, but to be part of a deeper journey, a journey of healing, growth, and self-discovery. Because discipline isn't something you just reach and stop. It's not a finish line. Instead, it's more like a path that leads you home to your true self, to peace and to freedom. And that's a journey worth taking together.